Morning. Thank you so much, Raylan. And good morning, everyone from the big island of Hawaii, where I am at the moment. Um, so good to see you. I want to start with a just short practice of refuge and bodhicitta before we sit. So we'll start, those of you who are new to Dharma Sunday, there may be some of you. We start with about a half hour of meditation and we move into about a half hour or a little more of teaching, and then about half hour, 20 minutes maybe of Q&A. And our topic today, as you may know, is mycelial wisdom and exploring the dissolution of the self. And this is one in a series of 4 teachings. And so I want to start us off with a meditation that begins to get us into the spirit of what I'll call mycelial wisdom. Mycelium are the root-like vegetative part of a fungus that form the network of thread-like structures that are called hyphae. These are the underground network that give rise to the fruiting body of mushrooms. And so I'm going to be exploring the wisdom that comes from the plant world. But mycelium is also we could think of it as a kind of a metaphor for interdependence, what the Buddha called Pratitya Samudpada. Buddha called Pratitya Samudpada means that everything is, well, what the word means is something like interdependent connection, sometimes just translated as interdependence. But the word means that everything is connected to everything else, and everything leans on everything else. Everything supports everything else. That truth is called Pratitya Samudpada, interdependence. The Buddha taught a lot about Pratitya Samudpada. So as a truth for the way things are. And so our meditation this morning will be just starting with a recognition of that. And, in some ways, what we're doing in meditation is we are really coming to, thank you, Raylan, she put it in the chat, Pratitya Samudpada, is we are learning to embody that Pratitya Samudpada in various ways. That's what we're doing when we sit. So we're going to do some practice with that. But in the beginning here, for a few minutes, we'll do some refuge practice and some bodhicitta practice. So we're going to start with facing the screen, but then we're going to turn away from the screen when we get to the main part of the meditation. But we'll start facing the screen so we can also read the refuge prayer. So feel free to bring that up, Raylan. This is a prayer in taking refuge in Buddha, in Dharma, and Sangha, and also think about that as taking refuge in interdependence, in our interdependence with the wisdom sources, our interdependence with the Dharma, with teaching, and our interdependence with one another. Sanje chudan soji chonama dang chu pardu dani cham su chin Daki jin so chi pe sonanji. Drola penchir sanche drupal. Sanche chedan sochi chanala. Changshu pardu dani chapsu. Daki jinso chi pe sonanchi. Drola penche sanche drupal. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until enlightened by the power of generosity and the other perfections. May we realize Buddhahood for the benefit of all. And if you could bring up for us the four immeasurables. This is refuge in bodhicitta. The four immeasurables are an expression of our commitment to universal love. Do we have those? It's okay, we don't. We can do it without them. We can do it without them. So let's move into gallery view. We'll do the immeasurables spontaneously and without the chanting part. So if you can move into gallery view so we can do this with one another. Just letting your eyes move around the screen of your fellow practitioners as we're here this morning, and just letting your eyes fall on someone's face here. Is anyone who comes into your view, and just giving rise to the wish, may you have happiness and the causes of happiness. Oops. Okay, so we your gallery view may have turned into something else. That's fine. So let's that's okay, Raylan. We can take it down. We're gonna move with another direction. It's okay. Yeah, so just finding that face again, and may you have happiness and the causes of happiness. It's giving rise to that wish. And letting your eyes move to another square in the screen, someone maybe that you don't know very well, or maybe don't know at all. I'm sure there are people here maybe, and maybe there are, and maybe there's some you don't know. So letting your eyes flow to someone that you don't know, and may you be free of suffering, and the causes of suffering is giving rise to that wish for this dear one. May you be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. And letting your eyes move to another one person in the screen, maybe this time someone you know. If you know anyone here, if you don't, it's all right. And then going to someone you don't know, a new person. May you experience equanimity beyond attachment and aversion to friend, enemy, and stranger. May you experience equanimity. And letting our eyes float to another square, another beautiful being here, another Sangha member, another beautiful human. And may you experience the joy that is free from sorrow, the joy that comes from the inner recognition of your true nature. May you have that joy. And just giving rise to that wish for this beautiful human. We are all connected. And feeling yourself taking a moment now to just receive those wishes from the field and see what it feels like to receive that wish for yourself from others. And if there's resistance to receiving, noticing the resistance too, and receiving some love into that resistance too. May you have happiness and its causes. May you be free of suffering. May you experience equanimity. And may you taste the joy free from sorrow. Thank you. And let's turn ourselves a little away from the screen so we can practice without being too tied to the Zoom. Give our eyes a break. You can keep the field a little bit in your and out of the corner of your eye if you need some inspiration. And look over to fellow meditators, or you can move back to speaker view if you prefer. And you can meditate with eyes closed or eyes open, as I like to meditate with my eyes open, sometimes closed and then moving to open. So closed helps us get more in touch with the groundedness of our own body, with the world of breath and interoception. I might start there with the eyes closed and grounding in the body. And noticing the world around you in your mind's eye. You don't have to actually look around the room, but feeling yourself in connection to the room that you're in, the space that you're in. Noticing what you're hearing and feeling, and considering the connection, the interdependence that is happening. It's happening right now. You are held in a web of connection and support. And noticing how with every breath you breathe in the world into your body, and you contribute to the world with every out-breath, that you are a living being. And then moving into letting the eyes open a little, maybe more than a little. With the gaze soft. With senses open. The breath open. Heart open. Mind open. Finding a home in this immediate, present moment awareness. Relaxing into interbeing. interbeing with each inhale, interbeing with each exhale. And if there's a place to come home to when you become distracted, it is this vast expanse of the here and now with no inside and no outside. Now wiggling our fingers and toes, bringing some movement into the body. Feel free to stand with me if you like. Do a stretch. Reaching to the sky. Grabbing a wrist and coming over to a side. Nice stretch in the side and inhaling up, reaching. Exhaling over to the other side. Reaching, and if you like, taking a swan dive over your legs, letting yourself dangle down towards the ankles, turning the head from side to side. A nice stretch in the back of the legs. And slowly rolling up. Shaking as you come back to your seat. Yeah. So in the last 5 years or so, I've been on a pilgrimage of sorts to explore or rekindle my relationship with the plant world as a teacher and healer. And doing that through a couple of avenues, through the avenue of getting down into the soil and rekindling my relationship with the plants that feed us, herbs and fruiting plants, gardening, flowering plants, gardening, and also through the avenue of exploring plant medicine as a complement to the work that we do as practitioners with the Dharma or with the practices of meditation, visualization, practices of cultivating the heart, practices of taking our own taking our formation and growth into our own hands, which is really one of the things that we're doing as practitioners on this path, is becoming the stewards of this organism conscious stewards of this organism and intentionally cultivating a relationship to this organism, which is our own organism, a relationship with the being that we steward, and taking its evolution into our own hands. You know, in some ways, that's what I think of the Dharma as being, is this vehicle for cultivating human evolution in a conscious way, cultivating nonviolence, cultivating kindness, cultivating peace, centeredness, and cultivating a holding environment in which all of the parts of the self are welcome, and in which we learn to welcome the world and love the world. We are in a practice of loving the world. And that's part of what we're doing on a path of the Dharma. You know, I think when we're first studying, we think maybe we're leaving the world because we're really tired of the world. That's what brought me to the Dharma. Not just tired of the world, but finding it almost difficult to live in, difficult to tolerate. And we all have our own story of that, maybe that brought us to meditation, stress, for example, difficulty with holding our own stress, or difficulty with handling the truths that we have encountered in our life. How do I handle these truths? In my own case, it was about encountering, at least in part, encountering impermanence and death. The death of my mother really moved me into a really serious relationship with meditation and the Dharma, because I couldn't understand how this could possibly end. Like, how can this end? This end? And how can I cope with its end? You know, it was my own, one of my main doorways into a serious relationship with the Dharma. I mean, a wish to pursue that practice as a way of understanding and coming to terms with mortality. But also, you know, what we're doing, the one of the main practices that we do in the Dharma, right? It is the practice of meditation, of slowing down and becoming still and discovering who and what we are and what is true about who and what we are. And one of the things that we explore and discover is this Pratitya Samudpada, this interdependence, this truth that this idea that we have, that we are alone in the universe, that we are alone in this organism, is an illusion. In fact, the organism as an entity that stands by itself, that stands alone, is an illusion. And that's something that we start to discover through practice. It's also something that we find everywhere in the teachings of the Dharma, that we are, that this idea of a self, and Atman, as the Buddha would have called it in his day, or yes, this idea of Atman is an illusion, that we exist. I exist. It's an idea. It's an idea that we have. It's a construction. It's a conceptual idea that we have a self. But in reality, this organism is in a constant state of non-separation with its world. And that is one of the wisdoms that the plants teach. You know, in some ways, we can learn that wisdom just by having a relationship with any plant. If you have a relationship with your house plant, right, The house plant it needs water, it needs sunshine, it needs care, it needs fertilizer, or it needs compost in order to thrive and to grow. It is in relationship with with the soil, with the air, with the light. And if you're caring for a plant, that becomes so obvious within days that if you're the source of the water and you're the source of the compost, you discover this plant needs a relationship with its world that allows it to thrive. It exists because of the world around it, right? That becomes very clear. If you have an animal, right, that same teaching. So, but we don't think of ourselves that way very often. There's some part of the human organism that wants to separate from that and to feel independent from that. And maybe that's an evolutionary strategy for survival that we developed at some point in our evolution. But the truth is, we totally lean on everything at all times. We would die in an instant if we didn't have the atmosphere to breathe with oxygen in it and all the things that our body needs. And I think it's partly because of this illusion that we carry around, this sense of self that we construct that is independent of all of that, that we have created the mess that we're in and on this planet at the moment, that we have created a situation where we are um, putting into motion the causes of our own demise as a species, because we don't understand, we don't rest in the interdependence. We don't know it in the depths of our being. And as a species, somehow we have let the self idea become the reality. And when the truth underneath it is that the self is a construction of this conceptual mind. So plants, as I've been exploring this relationship with plants and with mycelium, which are the root-like vegetated part of the fungus and the fruiting part, the mushroom, exploring that relationship, those plants teach that we are interdependent by how they are. And as we become more open to a relationship with the plant world, we are also opening to our interdependence with that world and with the rest of the world, the elemental world, with the rocks and the ocean and the waters and the wind and the air, which is also interdependent and flowing between the plant world and space and openness, right? So, and we are that as well. So just I've been beginning to develop in myself, deepen in that relationship in the last 5 years or so, and finding it to be a powerful complement to the Dharma work that we do in meditation. And in particular, I've been exploring this relationship with plant medicine, as I mentioned. And one of the things that I have, and before this, I should say, when I was younger, I didn't have that relationship to plant medicine. That is not something that I explored as a young person the way many people do in their teenage years or their early 20s. It's common for teenagers and young adults to explore a relationship with psychedelics, and sometimes that includes plant medicine or plants. And often that experience is a recreational one. So I never had that to speak of. I mean, I had maybe a pot brownie with my dad when I was 20 years old. It didn't go well, let's just put it that way. So after that didn't go so well, I didn't continue to explore a relationship with plant medicine. But more lately, more recently, as it has become more mainstream, more available, and more well researched, which is really important. I've become curious about it and wanting to understand more deeply what it's about. And part of my motivation initially in that was to, there's nothing missing from the meditation practice, for me anyway, nothing missing from that. But um, but two reasons really that I was interested in exploring this relationship. One with plant medicine. One is that as a Buddhist teacher, as a Dharma teacher, I have encountered so many people who came to the Dharma through the doorway of psychedelics, that they had an experience on something, whatever it might have been, and that experience exposed them to a different state of consciousness, to a different way of seeing the world. In other words, it blew open a door. And when it blew open that door, what people seemed to realize that I was hearing as a Dharma teacher, it primarily in one-on-one Dharma interviews or talking to people one-on-one, which we do as Dharma teachers about their practice, is when I'd say, how did you come to your practice? Often it was, well, I had this experience on a plant, or on a substance, and it showed me that there was more to reality than I had previously known, or there was more to this mind than I had previously known, that my mind is larger, my mind is vaster than I thought, right? These were the kinds of things that I was hearing. And so I've had curiosity about that. What is it about those experiences that led people into the Dharma? So part of it was my own wanting to understand, what is it in that has led people to the Dharma? Because I could only imagine, but I hadn't actually experienced. And that I'm very curious about experience. And the second reason that I wanted to explore this, again, nothing missing from my practice, nothing missing from meditation. I'm in love with my practice. I'm in love with meditation and with what it has done to me and what it has helped me to experience and become. So not a problem there. But I am also, because of being in this practice, a meditator, probably, yes, pre becoming a Buddhist even, I have always been a consciousness explorer. I've always been really curious about the mind and about consciousness and what's possible when following the thread of consciousness. What's possible from looking really carefully and deeply and slowly at the inner world? What's possible to know? How deeply can I know myself? And how deeply can I understand this organism and its relationship with its world? That's always been a curiosity for me. And I know it has been for many of you. It brings people to the Dharma. What's possible to understand about this and all of this? And when we understand this and all of this, there's a lot more that's possible in terms of evolution, how I can become more loving, more kind, um, more wise, how I can become a more thoughtful embodiment on this planet, right? So curious. So that's the second reason that I wanted to explore, as a consciousness explorer, what can I be learning from these plants, and what they open to the mind, what they open to the organism. And so I've been exploring that for the last 5 years, and learning a lot, and also allowing that uh, wisdom that comes from the journeys of the relationship journeys. I would call it a journey, when we go into a period of exploring, a day or a few hours of exploring the relationship with a plant medicine. I'm going to call that a journey, and many people do call those journeys. So taking the journey, what do I learn from that journey? And one of the things that has been coming out of that journey, which is more a teaching, not in words, but a teaching in experience and experiential teaching, is the deep truth that this small self, this constructed self, is just that, a construction. That and the idea of a self is permeable, and it is in flow. It's not something solid and rigid, but it's something that is in a constant unfolding. And of course, we discover that in the practice of meditation. If we're paying close attention, we see it in the way that our thoughts arise, abide, and dissolve. And we see the impermanence of the thinking mind. And we see that in the case of the mycelial relationship with mycelium in particular, with the fruiting body of the mycelial network underneath the planet, underneath the earth, the fruiting body being the mushroom. In that relationship, there's this invitation into experiencing firsthand, without words, the absolute truth of interdependence. That is, that we are completely and totally in a weave with our world, and in a weave with the plant world, in a weave with the animal world. And there is a truth, or you could say a biological truth, about the mycelium that those who study these plants know, or to talk about, is that they have an intelligence. So the mycelial network underneath the earth has an intelligence, and it's a decentralized wisdom. And these mycelial networks have a size; they can actually be measured. So, for example, I was just doing a little reading online in the United States, for example, to give you a sense of how large these networks are. A mycelium growing under Malheur National Forest in Oregon covers 10 square kilometers, making it one of the largest single organisms in the world. So some of these mycelial networks are very large. So from a biological perspective, the mycelial network is very large. But the truth that this mycelium teaches this, and it's a decentralized intelligence, that is, signals are going through the mycelial network all over, to trees, to soil, to animals. There's communication happening with this mycelial network. And so, I think what we have in the case of a self, to use this as an example for what is revealed through the practice of developing a relationship with this mycelium, through experience, through ingesting it, and then asking it for what it's going to teach you. One of the teachings that I received is about that decentralized wisdom. Decentralized intelligence is the word that a biologist would use, but I'm going to call it a decentralized wisdom, that our primate experience of intelligence is somewhat centralized. We think this is the center, self-center. We are self-centered, these primates. We can be that way. Our whatever's going on in our prefrontal cortex makes us want to believe that we are in charge here and that we are the center here. But in fact, as you and this can happen through meditation, it can happen through a relationship with plant medicine. One of the teachings from the plant medicine that has been very rich for me has been this teaching that from the beginning, we are actually connected to a decentralized wisdom. And that decentralized wisdom is the wisdom that is innate in our entire universe. There is an intelligence that we are a part of, a large decentralized wisdom, that we might say, that has to do with our integration as an organism into the natural world, that we are plugged in to a decentralized wisdom that is running through everything that lives and is running through the natural world, is even running through the elemental world, and that we can tap into that wisdom. And the yogis of the past in their meditation practice were doing that. They called it advayajnana. They called it non-dual wisdom. This ability that we can have if when we're really, really slowed down and tuned in to notice that we have never been separate from our world, and that we can tap into that and experience it, not just understand it, I'm not separate from this world, but actually become not separate from this world. And from a Dharma point of view, we're experiencing non-dual wisdom and advayajnana from maybe a point of view that's more plugged into an understanding from a plant medicine perspective, is we are becoming attuned to this decentralized wisdom that is the truth, that the network, this idea of a mycelial network, doesn't end with any one organism, that that there's a much larger mycelial network that has to do with life itself, and that we are a part of that. We might call it Gaia. We are Gaia. Gaia is us. And so one of the great teachings I've been exploring from the plant medicine world is that we can become that through ingesting some plant medicine in the right setting and in the right context, in a of course carefully regulated context. And so initially, I was really scared to do this. I was really nervous about it, as some of you who have explored it may understand. And it took me a while. I had to read Michael Pollan's book. Michael Pollan's book, How to Change Your Mind. You might put that in the chat, just Michael Pollan, How to Change Your Mind. It's a good book, and it's about his exploration of these medicines. And I was just I'm friends with someone who was following Michael Pollan a long time ago, before he became interested in plant medicine. And he was quite a straight-laced guy, very academic and very curious, but also very cautious, very empirical in his perspectives, of course, as a scientist, a journalist actually, but a journalist who writes about science. And he's become quite the spokesperson for the wisdom of plants. It's a really wonderful book, and it shows you his journey through being very, very cautious and skeptical, very uncertain about all of it, to actually starting to explore it. And reading that was helpful for me. And also because, it's certainly something that is, like anything, you want to be really, really care for yourself if you're going to go in that direction or look in that direction, and care for all of the parts of you that are vigilant and fearful, and to be embracing of them and listening to them and holding them in love. And my way is always to do a lot of research. If I do a lot of research, I become more confident of whatever direction it is that I'm going before I go there. Okay, so some of the things that the mycelial experiences that I've had over the last 5 years have helped me to get more deeply in touch with, in terms of my relationship to self in particular, is, and these are things that we find, right, we discover through meditation as well. We are not all that we think we are. We're much more than whatever our ideas are of who we are. That's one. Two, we are intimately connected to everything. We are part of a large disseminated intelligence, in other words. Three, waking up is waking down. And that you, if you've read The Wakeful Body, you know that's a big one for me. Waking up is waking down into your body. Your body has the wisdoms, and if we listen deeply to this body, we will discover those wisdoms, those timeless wisdoms. The same wisdoms that we experience in meditation are here in the body, and we can experience them in the body. Waking up is waking down. And then, or in other words, transcendence is a myth. Let me put it that way. Transcendence that we are somehow, through practice, getting out is not the way, but it's getting in that is the way. So that's the third one. And then the fourth one, earth is source, refuge, and healer. That earth is a great teacher for our path. Yeah, earth is the source. So again, those four are: one, we are not all we think we are. Two, we are intimately connected to everything. Three, waking up is waking down. And four, earth is source, refuge, and healer. So those are my reflections for this morning's teaching, for this teaching on the mycelial wisdom, and particularly how it refashions a relationship to self, and self not as a single organism, but self or non-self as the truth of interdependence. So I want to open it now to reflections and questions. We have about 20 minutes, and I love to hear from people and what you might be thinking or reflecting on, wondering about, curious about. And you can raise your hand using the raise hand function.
Chantel.
Hello.
So this is my first time attending, and I just wanted to, I guess, give a confirmation to myself, but also to you all, and particularly the speaker and those who are hosting today. Thank you for your time. But holy cow, if plant medicine didn't lead me to an organic movement practice that led me to truth in my body, that led me to your book, that led me to the site, that led me to here. So it's like so hilarious how I was like, I don't even know what this is going to be about, but I really, really, everything in this book is like, heck yeah, right now. And so let me come and see what this is, what's happening. So thanks. I'll be back. Yes to everything. And I guess if I had to ask a question, but let other people talk first, you don't have to answer this. I'm wondering if, I guess I'm wondering, I'm gonna think about this for the next few weeks or however long, but like, what is it about the earth that makes it such a great source, refuge, and teacher? Um, I don't expect an answer, but I'm gonna poke around at that a little bit. Um,
That's a beautiful question,
yeah,
Chantal. Yeah. I love that and I also think, yeah, take it and
run.
massage it.
Yeah, I'm gonna spend a lot of time with it, but I like yes, it's like obviously everything in you is like yes that, and then you're like yeah, but why? Like, why can't I be that open to share the creator or what wisdom or whatever? Like, anyway, that's it. Thanks so much.
Nice to, glad to meet you, Chantal.
Yeah.
Look forward to seeing you again. Take care.
Brad.
Hi, Lama Willa.
Hi, Laura. Hi, Brad.
Thanks so much for sharing on this topic. It's much appreciated. So I've been doing some exploring in the past year in this way as well, and and it hasn't been quite what I had hoped for in some ways.
Huh.
Um, I think I'm kind of feeling my way through it, and I think my question for you is just any tidbits of suggestion for setting intention
Mm,
in really looking for this practice to to enhance my ability uh, to touch into Rigpa and learn to rest there and more easily come into that space within myself in my daily life. So just I know it's kind of a big broad question, but just anything
yeah.
you might suggest um, for setting intention for
Yeah.
this with mushrooms.
Yeah. I think one of the most important pieces of advice that I received early on from it's in Michael Pollan's book. He gives the advice, but also the person that I was working with around the psychedelic assisted psychotherapist that I was working with, who was um, guiding me, uh, is to go in, even if you might have an intention, like I want to develop a deeper relationship with Rigpa. Rigpa means awareness for those of you that are um, newer. Rigpa is a Tibetan word that means awareness. So, for example, if that was your intention, to also go in with a willingness to that might fall completely to the wayside when you're actually in the journey. So there needs to be an element of surrender, and that part of the intention has to be to surrender to the wisdom of the plant, and that actually one of the intentions needs to be, okay, here's my intent. My intention is to develop a deeper relationship with Rigpa, but my other intention is to fully surrender to whatever the plant has to teach or show me, because it won't always be that. It might be something completely different. And it's what you need to see. It will be what you need to see, not what you want to see, but what you need to see. And or not what you want to explore, but what you need to explore. But that being said, there's also more than one medicine in the world. And some people need a different medicine. So it may or may not be your medicine for now, or it might be your medicine, but you may have to explore it a little bit before oh, this is it. This is my medicine. Or no, this isn't my medicine. There's another one that's my medicine that I need to be looking through that lens at the moment. So, it's a little bit of trial and error, but also some degree of surrender and letting go of expectation around what it will teach and what there is. It's about receptivity.
Thank you so much. That's helpful.
Yeah. Thanks, Laura. Thanks, Brad. Nice to see you. Yeah.
Jade, can unmute.
Hi.
Hi, Jade.
Hi, Lama Willa. Hi, everyone. I would also like to share my experience with plant medicine. I encountered plant medicine because I had a lot of trauma that I've been healing from, and plant medicine really is like a teacher for me, like a Dharma teacher. Is the same because I had so much trauma, I cannot tap into that loving voice in my head, and plant medicine talks to me. It's a voice and this loving, just big mother energy, and also teaches me how to come back to the body. All the information and pain is, and also the suffering, this connection, and just all the shaking, all the how do I be with the pain. All of these things, they're very similar. They're just like meditation teacher, but at the same time, I also, that's why I'm here, that I also need Sangha. I also need people because there are a lot of lessons that I've learned in plant medicine, but then I forget. I come, I come out in life and all the old habits come out. And so there's such profound wisdom in the Sangha, the Buddha, the Dharma, there's the human relationships, and also help me to sustain and keep going. So I took your course, Lama Willa, and I really loved how you put things together. It's just wonderful. The body is the temple, and I'm here because I also need people, but plant medicine is also big. It saved my life. I can say that. It's an accelerator, it's a pointer. Otherwise, I can spend my whole life trying, but I may not get to the point where I'm able to feel the extent. Yeah, so yeah. And I appreciate you sharing your experience, and that's really good.
Jade, I'm so appreciative of you sharing your experience too, and bringing in the element of trauma healing and how plant medicine can be helpful for getting underneath some of our habitual responses to trauma and how we carry it in the body and allow us to work through it in a deeper way. That is another function of these plant medicines, is and how they're being researched too and shown to be of benefit through double-blind studies, that some of these plant medicines, including psilocybin, can help us untangle some of the webs of reactivity. Also, ketamine is legal in many states now because of its ability to treat trauma, PTSD treatment.
And depression, yeah.
And depression, yeah,
Yeah.
and depression. That some of these states that have become intractable and untreatable through therapy are treatable through plant medicine. That's why they're being legalized in many states, because something like like clinical depression, drugs can only do so much, and therapy can only do so much. But at sometimes a short course of ketamine can break through it, and people are cured,
That's
which
how
is
I
kind of
started. That's how I
wild.
started.
That's how you started. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Ketamine, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then later other plant medicine and helps me to get deeper into the trauma, ancestral, generational, and it is all in this body, this information and the data, and it's what we're doing in meditation too. It's the same, but it's because of the, like I said, it's like a resource. It supports you to meet these big pain and trauma that we wouldn't be able to face without the support of that plant medicine. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
healing can happen.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Jade. Thank you.
Carolyn.
Oops, audio's on. Hey.
Hi,
Thank
Carolyn.
you. Hi. Thanks so much. I'm just really loving your background. So thanks for sharing that. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
The visual and auditory background. I'm really grateful for the last questions because I didn't know what my question actually was when I raised my hand. I'm raised it because I am in a pretty deep depression and I'm on I'm starting again a medicine that I thought I can't do plant medicine, And so it's kind of like, yes, I get the nature stuff. I'm not expressing it clearly, but it's hard. The whole thing about depression is you're losing touch with everything you're speaking, or I'm losing touch with everything you're speaking. So I really appreciate what Jade spoke about. I'm looking into ketamine as a supplement right now, and I didn't really think of it as a plant medicine. So I guess my question at this point is I'm wondering if it's possible to speak to you or someone about, like Jade, about the entry and how it worked. And also if you could speak a little bit, Lama Willa, about like how to do this safely if you're someone who's struggling with energy, like serious energy dysregulation.
I think it's really important if you're using ketamine as a treatment that you do it under the auspices and guidance of a psychotherapist who actually prescribes, or a psychiatrist who subscribes the ketamine and who oversees your at least probably the first few dosages is with you. And I would say in general, if you're nervous about exploring plant medicine, that you consider doing it with a guide in the room with you who is not taking the plant medicine, who is sitting with you and guiding you and being present to you, and that's all they're doing. So you can find that through, I think, through exploring. I don't know which state you're in, but and I actually don't know all the states in which ketamine is legal, but it's legal in a lot of states. Like it's illegal in Maine. I think it's probably legal in Massachusetts or close to being so, and Vermont, and so there are places.
I'm in North Carolina and it's legal here, so I think it's
it is
pretty
okay,
common.
good.
If it's not,
Yeah.
we're not the most progressive state anymore. So
Okay, yeah, okay, I see.
but it is
Okay,
legal.
then you might be able to find somebody who can help you anyway. Yeah, there's practitioners everywhere, and so finding that, yeah. And and sometimes just making the intention to find that person or practitioner and holding the intention, it will come your way, just holding the intention. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Carolyn.
Oops.
And Leslie?
There we go. All right, I've got the right one now. Thank you. It is so wonderful to hear you and see you, Lama Willa. I miss I miss seeing everybody and being able to get up to Wonderwell, but New Hampshire's not one of those places that is progressive. So I've learned about I've heard about microdosing for a long time now, and I'm very curious about how this got into Buddhist hands, and how that really affects people. I guess it's part of the fear, but one thing I do know is that I use cannabis for a number of things, and one of the things that I found is that I'm happiest. I'm more open. I'm more awake. I'm more sensitive. I'm more in touch. If I allow myself to be, it helps me to focus. And I've learned a lot of things about myself just on cannabis. But people have talked about depression and trauma and all of that, and I've done all kinds of therapy for 50 years, probably, off and on. And the only thing that I've found so far that has helped me at all is coming to meditation and Buddhism. And yet I still have times when I am not my top. I'm not even halfway there. So this is giving me some expansive hope that maybe at some point I can go exploring. Thank you so much. I'm so impressed with how this is all being handled and what you've presented to us. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. Appreciate that. Yeah, and this is the first time I think I've ever talked about this openly with Sangha, I think.
I think so.
Yeah. Decided it was time to say something. Yes.
Yeah, because I just don't want to die with all of this craziness in me. And so I appreciate so much that there are people who are open-minded and are doing the research and are doing the studies and are making it safe. And I have an opportunity, but it won't be a safe one because I don't think this person is doing it for mind growth. I think
Safety is very important. Yeah, very important. I recommend reading Michael Pollan's book. He really emphasizes set and setting, which means the setting is very important, which means safety is number one. Right? It has to be safe, and has to be safe emotionally, not just safe physically, not just safe dosage wise, not just safe like that way, but emotionally safe and spiritually safe. And that it may be a while before you find that setting, so you have to like hold out. You don't want to compromise anything. Yeah.
Hi, Lama Willa. I'm raising my hand for Anne Marie. You can go
Okay.
ahead and mute.
Hi, Lama Willa. So good to
Hi.
see you. And this is such a wonderful discussion that you're bringing in. And what I wanted to mention or talk about is a little bit different from the medicine part, but working with the discovery of the mycelium and all the connections and the communication under the earth. A few years ago, I read a book called Finding the Mother Tree, Discovering the Wisdom of the Forest by Suzanne Simard. Do you know that book?
No, someone just told me about it and really highly recommended it. So it's interesting you're mentioning it. Yeah,
It's
I want to read it.
wonderful. And she is a biologist that came to her exploration, and this has been her life's work through different early experiences where she talks about the connections that are under the earth and the mother tree, which is the force, and the biology that goes out miles and miles and miles, as you were talking. And a couple of things, well, when I read this book, and I keep reading it, is just an opening into there is more in our experience than we think there is, as far as the earth and our connection to it. And when I walk on the earth now, I walk more lightly because I have this sense and this feeling of everything that's going on underneath with the fungi and the mycelium and the networks and how they're giving sugars to one. And, you know, there's this connection between them that they give each other what they need to live. And one of the most incredible findings for me was that she has discovered that there could be a tree hundreds of miles away that is in distress, maybe because of insects, you know, just for some reason it's not healthy. And the trees from miles away will find this out through the mycelium and send it what it needs. And oh my gosh, this just opens up, you know, another world of love and how we're the interconnection of everything, even that we don't see, and has just become my my connection to interdependence and loving kindness. Even in meditation, in the beginning, connecting to the earth is I'm not only connecting to the earth as a support, but I'm feeling the liveliness and the healing that's coming up from the earth into me. So I just wanted to mention that as an addendum to your talk.
Thank you, Anne Marie. Thank you for sharing that very much. So we are at time. So if anyone needs to go, it's fine. It's fine to go. You can wave and go. I'm going to go over a bit because I want to open it to these last three people here who have questions and comments. You're welcome to stay as well. Yeah.
Andressa.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much, Lama Willa. I have a question about, I'm struggling actually as a trauma therapist and an immigrant, how to stay intimately connected with the earth and with everything that is around me without being overwhelmed by suffering. So I'm just wondering if you have any insights that could help with that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I really get a sense right now that the therapists of the world are holding so much. And not only just appreciate your sharing the, yeah, that also anyone who is an immigrant or has a has that status feels vulnerable too, and how difficult that is. I just want to witness that and bring that into the call. We are living in such difficult times, and Andressa, I think just prioritizing your own self-care is super important. I mean, it's always important, obviously, as a therapist or as a Dharma teacher or as a nurse, or those of us that hold space for others, caregivers and teachers, guides, that we need to really be focused also on taking care of the holding environment, whatever that might mean for you. And that can include meditation and finding a space to allow the stories that we hear, as you are hearing the stories of trauma and fear, allowing those stories to move through us instead of getting stuck in us and getting stuck in the body. So yeah, just I'm holding you in my heart right now, Andressa, just at this moment. I know everybody here is doing that as well, and remembering community. And if you don't already have a spiritual community, finding that can be really helpful. I wanted to mention to you in particular that I have two dear friends, Bill and Susan Morgan, who are therapists. We spend a lot of time together, and they are running a meditation program for therapists. It's a certificate program, and it's a sangha of therapists who practice together and also share their challenges together as well. I just want to mention them. You can look them up at billandsusan.com. I think it's billandsusan.com or billandsusan.org. You can look it up on their website. They have this great certificate program. It's a year-long program. And essentially, they develop community for therapists, because therapists are holding so much, and they're therapists too. And they're also practitioners and meditators. They are affiliated with the Institute of Meditation and Psychotherapy in Boston. billandsusanmorgan.com, I think, or .org. You can look and see which one it is.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Andressa.
Cindy?
Yes, hi, my name is Cindy. Thank you so much for having this. I feel that it was just sort of really, I don't know, my intention of manifesting or something, that I came across this set of presentations that you're having over the next few months. And I just sort of happened upon it, and sort of the magic of things, I guess. But I am really inspired by this topic, and my question is, I've been on a journey for several months now, actually, after having several decades of being very disconnected from myself. And so what did take me on this wonderful journey that I'm on, the first steps, was actually being in a trauma center, and they were affiliated with ketamine clinic. They offered to drive us there for the month that I was there. They offered to drive us there, and I was able to do, over about 6 weeks, I was able to do about 7 sessions of ketamine at a doctor's office. I think my question is for you is, and it did a lot of what you're saying. I mean, it just completely opened me up to being able to connect with myself in a way I've never been connected with myself before, and opened myself up to just sort of, I guess, what we call the more spiritual elements of life. And I'm just so grateful. and I want to continue down that road. And again, I can't believe that I happened upon you, because similar to Jade and others who have spoken, this seems to be just a real wonderful avenue for me to move forward with my progress. But my question for you is, when I know that you mentioned a couple of times that during the, I think you are saying during the sessions, that it's wonderful to have even a guide, the what is it? Assisted therapy, psychedelic assisted therapy, or I don't remember exactly what you called it, but I don't think I had that component when I was in the doctor's office doing the ketamine sessions. There was no one, for the first 4 sessions, no one was even in the room with me. They just simply hooked me up at the beginning, gave me a couple of pointers, and then came back at the end and unhooked me and asked me how I was doing. And then the other few times that I did it was at it. Again, they drove me there, but it was at a different place. And there was at least someone who was sitting in there with me, and she was wonderful. She was very nurturing as she helped me get, settled in and coming out of it. But there was no one ever, guiding me. And so I was just wondering, what do you mean by that? Because that wasn't my experience. And I sort of think that if I would have had that sort of experience, it would have been perhaps a different experience. And I didn't do any of the integrative therapy after, which I know is important. Would you mind just speaking to that for a moment?
Yeah. I'm not, aware of everything that's out there. So this is really interesting. Yeah. I've not been in a, I have done journeys now, but now that I'm more experienced, without a guide, I can do that now. But I never do them alone. It's always with a friend, at least a friend, if not more than one friend. I think so my experience with the psychedelic assisted therapy was with someone who is really there with you, and there's talk therapy is a part of it, not a big part of it, but there's some element of spoken exchange and hand holding, quite literally hand holding. And so I think if you're looking for something like that, more of a personal connection to an individual who is really there with you and for you and knows your story, then you would need to start seeking out a therapist, a psychotherapist in particular, not a doctor, but a psychotherapist who works with these substances. Oh yeah, there we go. Brad's putting a message down there in
Wonderful.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe you can exchange info with Brad too. Let's see.
Would I just go to the chat?
Can you see him in the chat? Oh, did he just text me? Maybe he just texted me. Brad. Oh yeah.
I can write something down. I have my notepad here.
After. Oh no, it's Laura. Right, Laura. Yeah. Okay. Laura, you're texting me though. I don't know if you're texting everybody. Thank you, dear. Oh, okay. Do you want to maybe Laura, can you put it in can you chat everyone your email address or chat? I think
My name is Cindy. I don't know if she can find my name
Cindy.
there. Yeah.
Maybe she can't. It's possible she can only send this to the host. Maybe you can, Raylan, you can open it up. Oh, Raylan opened it up for you, Laura. If you could put your email address there for Cindy. put it to everyone. Yeah. Okay. She's putting it in there for you. Okay. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, she's a therapist with our Sangha, so she could
wonderful.
maybe. Yeah, you could email Laura.
I don't see it yet, but maybe if I
You don't see it yet. Okay.
that out and then go back.
Make sure people can unmute too. Yeah. I think she's putting it in there.
Okay. And
Yeah.
oh, okay. Oh, I see right there. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, Linda.
Thank you so much.
I haven't seen you
Thank
in a
you.
while. It's so nice to see you.
Nice
And
to
this
see
has
you.
been really wonderful today. I appreciate your openness so much. My background is very similar. I often felt like the only Cornell student who wasn't experimenting with anything, but it's really helped me to be more open. I am a therapist also, and I think if I ever had a client who might need something like this, I'd be more comfortable referring, or if a friend was interested in it. It's kind of felt like a block for me for a while. And just hearing your experience, your journey has helped so much. So I appreciate that very much.
Thank you, Linda. Thanks for that. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for coming this morning and for being present to the Sangha, to one another, and to the practice. And we'll end today, as we do, with the dedication prayer. And feel free to come back next month for the next installment of the Mycelial Wisdom series. We'd love to see you back again. Changchu Samcho Rinpoche Mache Panam Che Dorchi Che Panyam Me Payam Hong Ne Hong Du Kawa. May the pure, brilliant sun of bodhicitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion unstoppably until all are fully illumined and awakened. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming. And I will see you soon. Be well.